right, back here on One Bills Live, Chris Brown, Steve Tasker, and joined right now by COO of the Buffalo Bills, Ron Raccuia, and also Jason Stulb, American Heart Association local president, or what?
Executive director.
Executive director. That's about the same thing.
Perfect.
So we're good. I guess the first thing here, because it was announced on BuffaloBills.com already, but a great commitment by the Bills to kind of partner here with the American Heart Association, Ron.
Yeah, Chris, we're really excited about it. Obviously, everything that the American Heart Association stands for, CPR training, AED access, hands-on CPR, specifically, this has touched the organization, deeply in the last 12 months.
Right.
And, for the Pagulas and everybody in the organization to make this commitment is really outstanding, and it'll provide great benefit to the community in the long run.
And how fitting has it been, given what happened to DeMar and what with the revelations about Kim, all the things in our organization that we've had to deal with, and now how it spilled over into the greater community, and the AHA is part of that, right, Jason?
Absolutely, yeah. It is the silver lining of both of those stories. The story with DeMar and the news about Kim. The silver lining is that we've had such an outpouring of interest to learn CPR. Both hands only and certifications and everything. So if we can walk away from both of those incidences where thousands and thousands more Western New York residents know CPR, that's great.
So give us an idea. You've got a couple of events now, and it really is mushroom because there's been so much awareness about. How tough can it be to get certified as a CPR guy? Because we saw it works, right? So give us an idea of some of the events that you've got coming up this summer, and the Bills are being a part of it, all of that.
Yep, definitely. So, in collaboration with the Buffalo Bills, we have some events coming up. The first one on June 3rd here at Highmark. We'll be training thousands of, Buffalo residents in hands-only CPR. And then we have the second one coming up on June 10th as well. And that one's at Johnny B. Wiley Athletic Pavilion downtown. So we'll be focused on, lots of different groups from across the region coming and, learning hands-only CPR. We'll have other, vendors there, health-related event as well, true event for the community. And, hopefully a lot of people will walk away being more prepared in case of a cardiac arrest or an emergency.
And this was a measure, Ron, that the Bills organization kind of tackled internally with their own internal training before partnering up for making this available to the public on a wide scale, right?
Yeah, Chris, you're absolutely right. We have, and we did. And then to partner with the American Heart Association allows us to expand it. I think one of the things that, it has been said, it's for the community as a whole, but it's also really going to focus on, communities that aren't served as well, with this access and this training. And that's a commitment, that we have from an organizational standpoint.
Yeah, the cool thing that I saw, Jason, amongst some of these talking points that you guys have laid out in terms of the initiative is getting these kits in the hands of youth sports organizations, because this stat stunned me. It's more popular with respect to young athletes. Cardiac arrest, leading cause of death in young athletes. 75% of all fatalities that occur during sports are cardiovascular related. So maybe it's kind of a no-brainer. Get these things in the hands of youth coaches and leagues, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We know when you say those stats, you realize how important it is that everybody related to youth sports is prepared in case of a cardiac emergency, right? So you're not just talking about, maybe one or two people from the organization being CPR certified, but you're talking about these CPR and youth sports kits. That organization is able to train hundreds of people throughout the year. So you can then take that and teach the parents on the team. You can take that and teach other coaches so that you have a whole network within that organization. You're talking about youth sports, teams. You're talking about whole organizations. You're talking about other youth-related, maybe like after-school programs, et cetera. But, everybody being able to jump into action in case of an emergency. That's what those kits are going to do.
It's been interesting, too. And you might imagine that since, January 2nd, that Monday night game in Cincinnati, you've had like a 600% increase in people saying, how tough can it be? And really it has transformed hands-only CPR into what you hoped it would be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Outpouring of interest in it. We talked locally, again, across the entire country, page visits to our resources, people seeking out education, people wanting to be prepared. What you saw with DeMar was, the best possible outcome from a chain of survival where CPR was administered, AED. I think people realizing that they need to know that themselves, so.
Yeah. And Ron, just the importance of getting this out in the public, because I think people say, well, you know, if someone in my family or a friend or a neighbor has a cardiac event, we'll just get him to the hospital. But then there's the stat, 70% of cardiac arrests that do not happen in the hospital occur in homes and private residences. You got to be on the spot, ready to take care of that before an ambulance or a 911 call can even be made.
You know, what we've really learned is time is so critical to this. And, you know, having this training and having the knowledge of CPR, hands-on CPR, you know, saves minutes, and minutes saves lives. So yeah, it's really important, you know, that everybody knows how to do this.
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to be in this position. You know, as Jason said, DeMar's situation ended up the best it possibly can, and he talks about a higher purpose and seeing how many people have resonated to this, how many people have gone to learn, how many people will learn from this. It's a testament to, you know, what our staff did on the field that day, the blessing of DeMar coming back, and what we can give to the community because of that.
And also, it seems fitting, and I hadn't thought about it, but coming up, training camp over at St. John Fisher, they're going to have a presence there, a tent where people can go and learn more about it, get trained. Local groups will be able to go in and see how that goes. It really is going to be a partnership where it's going to be the AHA, the American Heart Association, is going to have a presence wherever the Bills are this year.
Correct. Yeah. You know, we talk about these events coming up. Those are just the first few things in this collaboration. It's a year-long, you know, collaboration between our two organizations where we'll be bringing CPR education to the forefront of the community wherever the Buffalo Bills are. So whether you're talking about training camp, you're talking about games, you're talking about all those pieces of the community that the Buffalo Bills touch, you know, we'll be there talking about CPR education. You know, the Bills are definitely, you know, leading the way, you know, in this, and not only in this community, but, you know, across the country when it comes to, you know, an NFL team working with their community in order to teach CPR.
You know, Steve, sorry, Chris,
No, go
going
ahead.
back to what you had asked earlier about the commitment, you know, you're seeing what the next 12 months may look like, but this is at minimum a 5-year commitment by the
Okay.
organization, and we tend to build on this year to year, and hopefully, you know, for a decade or more going forward. This is a really critically important thing to us as an organization.
I just wanted to give Jason the opportunity, because we know that you have the event coming up on June 3rd, then there's another one on June 10th. I wanted to emphasize the fact that the events are free to the public, but you have to have a ticket because they can only accommodate so many people for training, I would assume. So how do they get their hands on tickets?
Yeah, so absolutely. Yep. There's a great resource page linked on the Buffalo Bills website that you can go to, and you have to go on and just like you would buy, you go to buffalobills.com/heart for that. And just like you would buy a ticket to a game via Ticketmaster, you'll go on there and get a free ticket to attend this. You're signing up for a time to come and learn the hands-only CPR, and then you have the rest of the event to experience as well. Yeah.
One of the things about this, and you saw, you know, the whole entire country saw what happened to DeMar, but the statistics are unbelievable. And you start reading about how prevalent it is. There are 350,000 people who go down with cardiac arrest every year in our country that are not in the hospital when it happens.
Yeah.
90% of them pass.
Yep.
They die.
Yeah.
CPR, only less than half of them get even a chance to have somebody around do the CPR. But that gives them like up to a 3 times better chance of making it through it. So the people who make it through, of the 10%, most of them get CPR. So if you know, of the hundreds of thousands of people who go down with this, the only chance they've got is if someone, and usually somebody they know, it's a family member or a friend who they're right there, can give them CPR. And something, particularly a person like me, my parents are still alive, they're 92, you know, that kind of thing. You could be the thing that keeps them around.
You could be. You know, it's most likely going to be a loved one that you're performing CPR
Right.
on. You
Exactly.
mentioned, you know, 40% of the public is apt to perform, you know, CPR on an individual, and that's where hands-only comes into play. So we're talking really a lot here about hands-only CPR, which breaks down those barriers as to why someone wouldn't do CPR, right? It makes it easy. It's pushing hard and fast to the center of the chest, calling 911, and pushing hard and fast to the center of the chest, right? It's very simple. It's a lot easier, so that hopefully when, you know, something does happen, people are more comfortable, you know, administering that in its nature and then increasing their chances of survival.
And I would imagine, Ron, that you mentioned it's a 5-year commitment, even though year 1 is what everything has been laid out here. So I would imagine you guys are going to collaborate further after year 1 and say, what can we do to enhance the program for year 2, 3, 4, 5?
That's exactly right. And, be remiss to say we're also doing this with some great community partners as well. It's not just the Bills and the American Heart Association. Highmark has already been involved. Lawley Insurance has been involved. The county executive with the Erie County Public Library System. And more of our partners are asking how they can support us. So, yeah, Chris, it's going to be a great community effort for a number of years to come.
I'll say this, too. What better organization than the one that was highlighted throughout the country for what happened on Monday Night Football, and to be a part of it? I applaud you for this partner. It makes so much sense. It makes too much sense for it not to happen. So congratulations to both of you.
Yeah, Ron, Jason, thanks very much for kind of shedding some light on this initiative going forward. A reminder, June 3rd is the first event coming up to learn hands-on CPR. It'll be taking place right here at Highmark Stadium, June 10th at the Johnny B. Wiley Pavilion. And if you want more information, you go to buffalobills.com/heart to find out how you can get a free ticket to register for the event.